In the headlines, small business owners to access funds from a $5 million loan facility at the Aid Bank as they participate in reopening the economy. Financial Secretary Rosamond Edwards on pre-retirement leave, with the next stint expected to be with the World Bank. And a human rights advocate highlights the plight of the most vulnerable during the COVID-19 crisis. I'm Andrea Lee with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
Avec Flow, gagnez l'argent, on partage l'argent avec Flow. Gagnez l'argent, on gros sac l'argent. C'est juste ça pour gagner un gros sac l'argent avec Flow. And mettez on top up, sign up, quittez yo, et vite joindre Flow. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
When you feel a sneeze or a cough coming, covering your mouth prevents the spread of germs. You probably knew that. But the way you cover up also matters, and that means breaking a habit you've held near and dear all your life. Cover your nose and mouth with your flexed elbow or a tissue, not your hands. Discard the used tissue immediately. Then wash your hands. Help stop the spread of germs. Remember, your health is your responsibility.
A message by the Health Promotion Unit of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment, Dominica.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Away $40,000 in cash, 2 bags of money plus a grand every Friday.
We're flowing better every day, and now we're making parties great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up.
Top up.
$10 or more.
Sign up.
Just switch to Flow.
Get a plan.
1 gig or more. If you want to win cash galore.
With Flow.
Win a bag of money.
Cash out.
Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? From Flow.
So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, small business owners who qualify can now access a loan facility at the Aid Bank meant to stimulate the resumption of economic activity. Julian Morris has that story.
The agreement to launch the $5 million small business facility was signed on Thursday. The facility is part of government's fiscal measures to stimulate the COVID-19 impacted economy. This loan facility, along with other economic stimulus measures being implemented by government, are expected to negatively impact central government's fiscal health.
I must commend the Minister of Finance for quickly responding to the needs of our small business owners. He's doing this on the backdrop that government is currently losing revenue at this moment, but yet he has responded to ensure that we can make $5 million available at the Aid Bank to help small business owners who have been unable to function or have been making less revenue because of the pandemic and SRO. It really shows the sensitivity of the government to respond to the plight of its people.
The aid bank manager welcomed the cash injection and said it was part of the proactive management of a coordinated response to COVID-19.
The signing of this loan agreement is symbolic since it marks the first week of Dominica declaring its COVID-19 free status. We are optimistic that with God's help, Dominica can remain a safe and healthy place to live. For us at the Aid Bank, this is a timely intervention, and we look with keen anticipation to the positive impact which will be evident in the economy upon disbursement of these funds. I encourage persons whose businesses have been impacted from the pandemic to come and speak with us. Our team of banking professionals stand ready to serve you.
Prime Minister Skerrit says this loan facility will help small businesses affected by the pandemic participate in the reopening of the country's economy.
I want to say to our citizens that it's important that we take advantage of these facilities. 1% interest on any loan amount is a significant consideration. And the generous terms must also be considered in terms of the repayment schedule and the grace period for these loans.
The Prime Minister says he expects applicants to be facilitated in a timely manner as time is of the essence.
I want to say to the bus drivers, you cannot in fact access these loans. You can in fact access these loans. I heard Ghost on the program last night asking whether people like himself who provide exclusive services to our tourists, they can in fact apply for these loans. These loans can be used for a wide range of business activities. It could help cover your recurrent costs, your overheads, or to buy equipment or machinery for your small business. What we have tried to tailor this loan facility to respond to the specific challenges which businesses are encountering. Normally, under normal circumstances, you won't get a small business loan to pay salaries or to cover recurrent expenditure. But we recognize that this is an extraordinary time and extraordinary actions are required to respond to those challenges.
In more top stories, Financial Secretary Rosamond Edwards is currently on pre-retirement leave. Currently, Denise Edwards is acting Financial Secretary.
I have also allowed for her to serve in the Executive Director's office in Washington, Mrs. Edwards, the Financial Secretary. So she's in pre-retirement leave, but also working in the Executive Director's office at the World Bank, IMF, as our original representative there. And of course, we will continue to have access to her even in that position. Mrs. Edwards has had an extraordinarily exceptional contribution made in the public service of Dominica. Very, very frugal, very detailed, very diligent, and very responsible. And I think she was an asset to Dominica, especially during these very difficult periods. But we have in Ms. Edwards, whom I have the greatest confidence in, with abilities and capacity, and her ability to advise the government on matters of finance and economic issues. So I have every confidence in Ms. Denise Edwards.
In other developments, the OECS CBU is formulating a plan to help the creative industries during the COVID-19 pandemic. Julian Morris explains.
The OECS Competitive Business Unit CBU works to support existing and emerging businesses through facilitating formal financing mechanisms, trade negotiations, and domestic and international marketing, among other functions. Special emphasis is placed on those in the creative fields such as fashion, music, and visual and performing art. Technical Specialist for Export Development and the Officer in Charge of the CBU, Dominica Branch, Ricardo James, says the unit has engaged in talks with business support organizations.
One of our roles at CBU is to build the capacity of the business support, the national business support organizations. And when I say national business support organizations, I'm referring, for example, to the export development agencies at the national level, the various associations of the private sector. So we have been continuing to find ways to support them, to provide them with information, valuable information, on how they can cope with the COVID-19 pandemic. We have also conducted a survey to find out how it has impacted them, what needs they may have for capacity building.
While no cost has been put to the pandemic's impact on the industries assisted by the CBU, loss of revenue is one of the main affected areas highlighted by the survey with the business support organizations.
The results in terms of the impact are to be expected, that the operation, some of the activities have had to be postponed, where some of those BSOs are also, some of the activities are also revenue generating. And so that means because of the lockdown and the social distancing, it means that they are not generating revenue for some of the activities that they would have had to have. So, I mean, it's across the board, across all organizations and private sector. We have also learned some of the things that they need, the assistance that they need. Of course, some of them will need financial injection or support to cover the shortfall in resources or revenue that they may have been able to, that they are not generating.
While no cost has been put to the pandemic's impact on the industries assisted by the CBU, loss of revenue is one of the areas highlighted by the survey with the business support organizations.
The results in terms of the impact are to be expected, that the operation, some of the activities have had to be postponed, where some of those BSOs are also, some of the activities are also revenue generating. And so that means because of the lockdown and the social distancing, it means that they are not generating revenue for some of the activities that they would have had to have. So, I mean, it's across the board, across all organizations and private sector. We have also learned some of the things that they need, the assistance that they need. Of course, some of them will need financial injection or support to cover the shortfall in resources or revenue that they may have been able to, that they are not generating.
A series of webinars with subsectors in the creative industries recently got underway to better gauge the impact of COVID-19 on these enterprises,
as well as to get an understanding from them and to develop ideas on what sort of support that they require, both from the OECS, because the OECS as a regional organization, but also from the national governments, because we work to support them. And the first webinar is for the music sector, so it will be on an online webinar where we are bringing together the music sector and influential music practitioners to be facilitators. So this is just one of the areas. We plan to do that also for the manufacturing sector and other areas.
An advocate for human rights wants to see the plight of the most vulnerable populations get some serious attention during the COVID-19 crisis. Lifeline Ministries, run by Tina Alexander, is a faith-based non-governmental organization which seeks to help vulnerable groups, families and individuals find sustainable solutions. Alexander says the outbreak has highlighted disparities among vulnerable populations, which she hopes is addressed.
Now, COVID has brought a serious problem to people who are living hand to mouth. That is, people who were earning today to buy food today, or people who were receiving from other people who were earning today and now don't have. So there's a serious problem with food. We're being asked for food all the time, which we don't have. Usually REACH would help share what they have with us, but they don't have. So there is a real problem with people at the bottom of the pile. Now, these are not the people who usually get welfare, because those people are being taken care of. People who usually get welfare or usually are well known to the health district because they're shut-ins or whatever. These people are not being neglected. We're not suggesting that they are.
The Lifeline director says the outbreak in Dominica further exposed the recurring poverty trap.
There's a kind of poverty trap of people who were earning at the bottom of the scale. Often they are maxed out on loans because they've often got loans from Fast Cash and other places, and they're really struggling now to feed their children and pay the rent. The rent was due just recently. Most people pay at the beginning of the month, and May has found them in serious trouble. They were probably in trouble for April, and now they're really in trouble for May. So I'm getting people coming saying that they're facing eviction, getting people coming saying, would I lend them money, which we can't do. So this is a challenge.
Ms. Alexander is looking forward to the proper structures being put in place so that vulnerable groups also receive some much-needed assistance.
I'm looking forward to the government getting their protocols sorted out so that they're able to help people who are in need of financial assistance, to tide them over. Well, I was very pleased to see that the IMF and the World Bank have been able to contribute, and they've negotiated for that. But we're waiting to see how it gets to the people who really need it.
You're watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Si ou ni maladie HIV et bien maladie sexuelle, si ou pas protéger corps lors ou des sexe avec plusieurs monde, ça kay mette la vie ou en gros danger. Ou ka expose tout partenaire au poison et que tant qu'il ka vini avec maladie. Serve yon condom chaque fois ou ka ni sexe. Change qui est important pour découvrir maladie à bonheur ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Pour responsabilité, protéger corps et puis les autres. Examiner corps. Aidez du bout si même maladie HIV et l'autre maladie sexuelle.
With Flow, when I bag of money, cash out. Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
Yo, check this. Flow is giving away $30,000 in cash.
Oh, yeah.
2 bags of money plus $1,000 every Friday.
With Flow is better every day, and now we're making parties great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up.
Top up.
10,000 more.
Sign up.
Just switch to Flow.
Get a plan.
1 gig or more. If you wanna win cash galore.
With Flow.
Win a bag of money.
Cash out.
Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
When you feel a sneeze or a cough coming, covering your mouth prevents the spread of germs. You probably knew that. But the way you cover up also matters, and that means breaking a habit you've held near and dear all your life. Cover your nose and mouth with your flexed elbow or a tissue, not your hands. Discard the used tissue immediately. Then wash your hands. Help stop the spread of germs. Remember, your health is your responsibility.
A message by the Health Promotion Unit of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment, Dominica.
Avec Flow, gagnez l'argent, on partit l'argent avec Flow. Gagnez l'argent, on gros sac l'argent. C'est juste ça pour gagner un gros sac l'argent avec Flow. Animez on top up, sign up, quittez yo, et venez joindre Flow. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Welcome back. The first phase of the Ministry of Agriculture's backyard gardening program has come to an end. Julian Morris tells us why.
The program was launched last month as part of the ministry's overall COVID-19 food security initiative. Coordinator for Disaster Risk Management Project in the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Almario Kazimi, says the feedback to the program has been overwhelming, exceeding the ministry's expectations. As such, the program has been halted as it reached almost 3,000 participants.
At closing date, we had a total count of 2,774 registered participants, and that was spread out across the 7 agricultural regions of Dominica. We saw a high participation rate in the south central areas, to include places like the Roseau Central, Grand Bay, and the northeast, in particular the east and the southeast. Very impressive, as well as the north.
If all goes according to plan, the program should resume in the next financial year.
Our objective right now, and thus one of the reasons for the closure or the temporary closure of the program, was that the request was coming in, and the demand on the agricultural stations in terms of the production of the seedlings was tremendous, to the point where we have also engaged 2 private nurseries to assist us in the continuous production of the seedlings. As we speak, the distribution process is ongoing, so we aim to actually furbish and satisfy the request in terms of the demand for the seedlings. And that process, once completed now, we will consider in the new financial year of the annual finances of government a new program. But specific emphasis will be placed on backyard gardening as a recurrent program within the Division of Agriculture.
The distribution of seedlings continues Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Individuals were asked to register online for the project. Some registered in person. Dr. Kazimi says several checks and balances were implemented to ensure Dominicans do not abuse the system.
We created a master list and we had a final registration. And as we went about our distribution, we had an input delivery system with regards to a check and balance system in terms of an issuance of a certificate or a form stating the amount of items you actually received. Yeah, you would sign on that form and we would keep a copy. And that copy now would go back into our database now to actually verify what was actually distributed. Though we have a total registration of 2,774 participants, we have only, impressively distributed to date just under 800 registered participants.
Over $165,000 was spent in the production of seedlings for this project, which incurred a cost of $270,000.
And the Prime Minister's Secretariat has announced additional relief measures for beneficiaries of an 8-bank loan facility established after Hurricane Maria. Here again is Julian Morris.
The tourism industry is among economic sectors most seriously impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Hoteliers will now be allowed to import certain items on special concessions for 6 months starting the 1st of June. The special facility at the 8-bank provides loans to farmers, hoteliers and the manufacturing sector at 2% interest, with a moratorium on payments of 6 to 12 months. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, government has decided to provide further relief to these stakeholders.
This would include no payment on principal for a year and on interest payment for 6 months. This deferment of payment will allow borrowers in the tourism sector, the manufacturers and farmers to use whatever cash they receive during the next 6 months to meet salary payments and continue their operations without the added burden of loan repayments.
2,082 employees have lost livelihoods in the tourism sector.
That figure does not include persons engaged with travel agents and rental companies and some of the other tourism ancillary services.
The Prime Minister says government is taking a balanced approach to the sustainability of the healthcare system, government's finances and the economy. Meantime, he has also pledged to sustain social safety nets.
Unprecedented uncertainty and precarious period requires much prudence as we seek to ensure the health, safety, and overall well-being of the residents of this country. We must all ensure that we continue to support the needs of the most vulnerable amongst us. And so, the social safety net programs, such as the Yes We Care and the Care for our senior citizens, including monthly pensions and allowance to 70 years and over, must continue. Government would have liked to give much more, but with an approaching hurricane season and no end in sight for COVID-19 pandemic, we must be measured in our approach. We intend to finance the mentioned measures through a combination of loans, government revenue, including the CBI funds, and reduction in recurrent expenditure.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Avec Flow, gagnez l'argent, on partit l'argent avec Flow. Gagnez l'argent, on gros sac l'argent. C'est juste ça pour gagner un gros sac l'argent avec Flow. And mettez on top up, sign up, quittez yo, et venez joindre Flow. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
With Flow, win a bag of money, cash out, get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
Yo, check this. Flow is giving away $30,000 in cash.
Oh, yeah.
2 bags of money plus $1,000 every Friday.
With Flow is better every day, and now we're making Fridays great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up.
Top up.
10,000 more.
Sign up.
Just switch to Flow.
Get a plan.
1 gig or more. If you wanna win cash galore.
With Flow.
Win a bag of money.
Cash out.
Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
To end the news, the headlines again. Small business owners to access funds from a $5 million loan facility at the Aid Bank as they participate in reopening the economy. Financial Secretary Rosamond Edwards on pre-retirement leave, with her next stint expected to be with the World Bank. And a human rights advocate highlights the plight of the most vulnerable during the COVID-19 crisis. Feel free to access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.